Hi, John. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Morning.
Yep. Um, yeah, um, I think my audio is not properly set up. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you also now. So, yep. Were you able to talk with JC about the upcoming cohort?
Yes, sir. We had a short call a while ago,
Okay, okay. Yep.
like a 5 minute call, and he just asked my background, my degree, and like my experience in handling IDA class.
I see, I see. Yeah. So that would be that next cohort would be yeah, his first one with Skillspire. So please keep in touch with him.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we'll continue with the preparation because that is supposed to start on the 26th, which is well basically 27th for us. So yeah, if there's anything that I can help you with, just let me know. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep. I'll be on standby for the students. So
Okay, sir.
Hi, Grace. Welcome to the meeting.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Uh, it's getting hot here. It's making it harder.
Making
That's
more
nice.
difficult to move.
Mhm. Just get around. Even sleep now. Sleep is interrupted. Let's see. I should have
I
done
see.
that
I see.
Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah. That thing of converting everything like from miles to kilometer and from Fahrenheit to Celsius. It's also challenging.
Yeah, we had a high of 47 Celsius yesterday.
47.
Yeah,
Oh wow, that's
so it's like
crazy. Where are you again, Grace?
in
Are you all
Arizona,
like
in
on
the
the?
desert.
Yeah, okay. So you're like
hmm
in the uh, middle in the US, right?
No, I'm on the West Coast. So
Mm.
if you go from the West Coast where Seattle is, and then below
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
California, so then you go to the lower part of California and go one state east is Arizona.
So it's like the mountains are in the Seattle area, right? The Washington
Yeah,
area
so then here
and
we have mountain
Arizona.
but desert. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. It's like in that area you would have different terrains. There are this area such as Seattle, just near the port, and somewhere north you have the mountains, but south of that you have a desert.
Like Mexico, we're close to Mexico, so it's like that.
Yeah, yeah. So be safe, Grace. Drink more fluid.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in terms of hot
Don't get me
weather,
wrong, very, very privileged, compared to other households and other
yeah,
areas, but gosh, it's hot.
it's
I
difficult to
woke up
move just
sweating. I
just
was
to
like, what
breathe.
is this? My God. Take Check the air conditioning even lower.
Hmm. Yep, Hasiba, welcome to the meeting. Hasiba, uh, I think I think we have two Hasibas in here. Hasiba,
Hello.
yep. I think you have two accounts.
Yeah, my computer is acting weird. It shows
Hmm.
two link for me. When I close it, it closed both. Then when I
Uh,
open back, it
the other
opened.
one remained. Okay. Ah, there we go. Mm, could be a delay or something. Yep. So, how are you? How's the weekend?
I'm good, thank you. How about you all doing?
I'm doing great. I just had a good dinner with my family. Of course, it was way earlier. So we went to the mall and ate ramen. So the actual thing. Typically, it would be the instant one, but yeah, it's the weekend, so we decided to have the actual one. So yep. So we're starting with the Python for analytics today, and hopefully, well, I will make sure that this Saturday that you're investing your time with would be worth it. You have to learn something new today, worth of your time. So that's exactly what we will do. And with the labs, I think we have some practices with series, working with data frames, and also importing CSV files. So we have reached the point. I think we only have 2 or 3 meetings for Python. So the next Saturday would be our final exam. So the final exam, you would be starting it potentially after your class on Wednesday, and you have until Saturday to finish it. Because this is of a different flavor, in a sense that you'll be considering an actual data set. So it's quite different to the practices that you've done in the earlier meetings with Python. So you need longer time. And after that, after Saturday, let's see if we will be jumping immediately to statistics. Probably during the first meeting, I'll be assessing your knowledge, what you can remember. Yep, Grace. Sorry.
Nothing. I'm just switching from
Oh, okay, okay, yeah,
tablet to laptop.
yep. So, yeah, on Monday next, the week after the next, probably we'll be having a sort of a pre-assessment with statistics. I would want to know your knowledge, what you can remember from your studies, and try to build from that. But basically, we already have the list from the syllabus. I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page with the same starting point, and yeah, that's what we'll do. The Monday after the next coming one. So enough of that. Let's start with the discussion. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? Python Analytics 1. Okay, Python class. Hmm. I think. Oh no. Oh, there we go. I thought I accidentally deleted the slides. Okay, from the beginning. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Share window. Okay. Can you see it now? John, can you confirm it, please? Okay, so welcome to Python for Analytics Class 1. So what are today's plans? Again, just like what we had from the beginning, everything would be structured. Okay, there will be times that I'll be moving away slightly because I feel it would be needed to add more and to maybe I remember things that would benefit you in the future. There will be times that I'll be moving away slightly from these plans. So, but anyway, let me go through each of this. So we'll be discussing introduction to pandas. So this pandas has nothing to do with the animal. So this panda or pandas refer to the library in Python for data analytics. Okay, the I already forgot what the pandas mean, but it's Python for something. Python for analytics and data analysis, something like that. Okay, I cannot immediately like exactly recall the actual meaning of pandas, but it's something related to analysis and or analytics and data analysis or something like that. And after that, we will be proceeding to series. So series is another type of data structure which is similar to lists. So there's just this minor differences between a series and a list, especially with the indexing. Okay, so we'll be discussing the details of that later. So we would be discussing the series because of the data frames. So I don't want to just immediately jump to data frames without even discussing series because they are related. Okay. So think of the series as like columns of your data frames, and the data frames, those are this data sets with rows and columns. And we have reading CSV files. So I'll be discussing you three different ways in how you can import your CSV file in Colab. So you might be thinking, why CSV file? Why not other type of files like the tab delimited one? We can also do that, but in the industry, the most used type of file in data analytics with Python is the CSV type. So once you mastered working with CSV files, you can easily switch to, okay, what if you consider a tab delimited file, um, and other types of files, maybe um, other other type of files such as a JSON file or um, or others. Okay, so we'll be focusing just with the CSV file for this cohort. And lastly, describing data. So how do we generate those descriptive measures and how do we interpret them? So again, just like what I told you, I give more importance to knowing what or understanding what you're doing instead of just being able to do it. Okay, in the industry, there are so many people who knows how to do things, but they they don't really understand the reason behind why they are doing it, or to put it specifically, they are using measures, statistical measures, without even fully understanding um, the advantages or the benefits and the downsides of that statistic. So we'll be discussing that, and I'll be very technical, and I'll also be very practical in that aspect. So I'll be first very technical in a sense that I'll be going back to the formula, how things are being computed, and practical in a sense that how would you communicate it to the stakeholders, right? To people, to everyone, regardless of their background. So that's what we'll do with that part. And I think we'll be able to touch a bit of that only during this session. That's why I said that we could have like three meetings still for Python. So maybe we can only uh, have a quite this quite of discussion about describing data in today's session, and we will be continuing on Monday. So introduction to pandas. Okay, pandas. I think somewhere you already saw this. Okay, maybe you have read it in a data science or data analytics journal or article. Okay, so let's talk more about it. Okay, so that you have a complete background. So pandas is a Python library. So when we say Python library, it consists of different modules, different methods that you can use in order to do your data analysis. Okay, including in the pandas library are the methods that you can use in order to manipulate your data set. Okay, so remember the methods that we used in order to manipulate our list. Imagine having tons of that specifically designed for manipulating and analyzing your data set. That's what pandas is for. It's like a library of methods, a library of functions specifically designed for analyzing data. Okay, so we can use pandas to analyze big data and make conclusions based on statistical theories. It is built on top of another package named NumPy or numerical Python. So NumPy, this is more about mathematical functions, um, about more into computations. Okay, more into computations. This numerical Python or NumPy, which is also very famous. Okay, so when you do analysis with Python, it it is highly likely that you'll encounter NumPy somewhere or another. So getting started with pandas. So to use pandas, you have to write the following at the top of your code. Okay, so we have the first billet as import pandas as PD. So this is um, the unique structure of importing a library in Python. Okay, so you have here the import keyword, and then the pandas. This refers to the pandas library, and here this SPD that we're just doing in here is just assigning an alias. So if you would ask me, Jeff, can we do any other alias for this? Yes, but the most used whenever you use pandas, okay, in the industry is PD. So always be familiar with that. We have to make sure that the aliases that we're using for the different libraries is the same as with the other as what other people are using. It's because of readability, right? And remember, when you join the industry as a data analyst or a data scientist, you will not be working alone. So it's important that the others could also read your code. Okay, it's important that there's a uniformity among the different analysts, different programmers regarding this convention. Okay, so here what we're doing is we are importing this function, series and data frame. So this part is not really necessary, but I'm just showing it to you so that you would know that there's this um, two functions, series and data frame, that you can use in order to create the series and in order to create the data frame. Okay, but again, it's not really necessary. So in order to learn pandas, we'll need to talk about two very important data structures, series and data frames. But before that, let me show this to you in Colab. So I want you to open your Google Colab and let's try running this. Import our very first Python library. Okay. I think some time ago you already saw me do this. Okay, do the from or imported a particular library, but to make it official, let's do it together. Okay, so here, I hope you can still see it. Um, I don't see the meeting window. Let me put it back to the other monitor. Okay, there we go. So all set up. I'll be adding here a comment. Let's run or import our very first library in Python. Okay. So here, basically, guys, we're just importing pandas as PD. This part is um, not, again, this is depending on you, okay? But this is the convention. Pandas is typically imported as PD. And this one right here, even though you do not specifically say that you'll be importing it from pandas, as long as you run the second line, you would be able to access the series and data frame function once you load or import pandas. So let's run it. Okay, it's restarting the kernel, and there we go. So we have loaded our very first Python library. So what does it do? Nothing at this point. We just made it. We just imported it for the sole reason that in the second steps or in the following steps, we'll be utilizing all of the available, okay, all of the available functions and modules inside pandas, depending on what we want to do with our data. So let's go back for now in our slide. Okay, let's go back for now and let's discuss series. Okay, we'll utilize pandas for creating our series, so don't worry. We'll make use of that importation. So what is a series? So I said earlier that a series is similar to a list. Okay, so a series is a list-like object that can be thought of as a column in a table. So there are two differences between a series and a list. First, okay, the values in a series are all the same type, whereas a list can contain various data types. So why is it so? Why is it that a series takes only inputs of the same type? Because again, think of them as columns. So if you're recording information about age, all of the inputs, all of the rows, okay, of that record must be referring to age or a numeric value. Okay, it would be very chaotic if, say, the series accommodate like a number and then the word that refers to the same thing. Okay, like 32 and then 32 as a string. So we have to make sure that one series, all of those inputs, okay, would be of the same type. Because when doing an analysis, the functions that you'll be applying on that column should be, say, generating a mean from that series. It won't be possible if you have an input that it is that's um, a string or any other input. So it should be of the same type. Also, imagine if you're applying a function for a string, right? So you want to make sure that you don't have any other data types in there. So the number two difference would be we can give different values to the indices of a series, whereas the indices of a list are set integers, right? So the indices for the list, it always starts with what? With zero, because it's ordered, right? So the zero corresponds to the first element, then we have one for the next, up until to the um, last element. But with series, you can assign different values to the index. So you can start with one, you can start with zero. You can create a series that uses the same index as with the list. You can assign an index that is a string, okay, of which I'll be showing you an example of. So moving forward, if we don't specify the index labels of a series, by default, they become the index number. So it would sort of apply the same thing that's being done with index, okay, or with the indices of a list. If we want to specify the index labels, we can use the index argument. Okay, so the general form in creating a series is this. So this is their series name, okay, and then you're applying the series function to the values, and you're applying here um, an index which is associated to another object, indices. So this indices is another object, another collection. Okay, it could be a list. Okay, it could be a tuple. Then this values is also data structure, is also collection. Now to have a clear picture of what's going on, let's consider this example. Okay, so here at this part, we just imported the relevant things that we need. Here we created a list of prices, 500, 200, 5,000. We know that this is a list because of the square bracket. And then from that, we created the series. So notice here that there's no argument that is assigned for the index. And it's perfectly fine to do that. If you do it this way, okay, without the index argument, it would apply the same principle as with list. You would start with 0 to the index values and so on up until the last element in your series. So this is the first. So it is assigned with an index value of 0, followed by 200, and so on. Okay? So this is one way if you want to assign an index value similar to how the index values are in a list. And if you want to have a customized index labels, that is what we have on this right section. Okay, so here we have again unit prices, which is basically the same as with the one earlier. However, we have another list which is part underscore name, so corresponding to the prices of the prices here. What we have above would be the actual items, or the actual parts. So the 500 actually corresponds to the wheels, to the doors for 200, the windows with 100, 2000 with the engine, and body 5000. Okay, so this part names would be what would be used as index. Okay, so we are creating a unit underscore price underscore series 2, and we are applying here the series function. So this is the value, which would be the unit prices, and then you have the index equal to part names. Okay, so notice we don't have that earlier here. That's why we have the default starting with 0. Okay, similar with in the indices of lists. And then when we print it, notice that with the index labels we have now the actual names of the parts and the values as their associated prices. And we have the data type here, which is int64, and we've already discussed that. It's just referring to um, numbers. Okay, if it shows object, then it refers to strings. So any questions, guys? Any questions about this different versions of creating a series from a list? Questions? Just to make sure, was everything clear? I'm not sure if I was speaking too fast or if I was speaking clearly. My choice of words are even clear, or even my pronunciation and accent. All clear, guys? Okay, thank you very much, Grace. How about you, Hasiba? John, can you try contacting Jeff and Anissa? Thank you. So yeah, again, please don't hesitate to ask for questions and um yeah, please maximize the time. I mean, you will still have the time with John, but during the discussion, just let me know if something was unclear. Okay. Now, it's also completely possible to create a series from a dictionary. So what you're seeing right here is a dictionary, right? So we have the parts as the keys. So you have the wheels, you have the doors, windows, and engine. And for the values, we have the prices. And we just apply the series function, right? And we were able to create a series out of a dictionary. So there will be less times, as particularly in this class, in this cohort that we have, that you'll be utilizing the conversion of series using a dictionary. Most of the time, it will be from a list. Aside from it being my favorite, um, you just have more flexibility with this as compared with dictionary. So I have the full bias with list. And okay, we have here a practice. So create a series that stores a grocery bill. The indices should be the items, and the values should be the prices. Include at least four items. Print the series, and I have included here a hint. Make sure to import the following before you start coding. So I'll be giving you guys uh, maybe 3 minutes. Yeah, let's make it 4 minutes for this practice. Okay, and I'll be asking you to share your screen to show your work. Okay, all clear, all good. Grace, Hasiba, four
Would
minutes.
would you be okay with showing the last slide just because
Sure,
this is
sure.
introduction?
Yeah. Definitely. That's
Like this, yeah.
yeah. This is that's fair, Grace. You definitely need to have the like something to look at. But John, can you do a screenshot quickly so that they have a copy of the details of the practice before I switch back to this? Okay. I think it's important that we commit the errors because I don't want you to like live in a utopic setup during class and once you finished the cohort you'll be bombarded with these different types of errors that you've never seen before. So I think it's important that at this point you encounter those errors when you're writing your codes. My just remove the sound of this. In terms of percentage completed, I think we've already for the entire cohort, I think we've already completed 65 or around 60% of the course. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy with your performance, how things are doing. With the remaining topics, I mean, the only challenge that you have would be statistics. And then after that, Power BI would be a treat to you. Very easy, very fun. At least with the topics that we'll be discussing. Of course, if you consider the advanced topics, then Power BI would also be stressful, especially when you're developing the data schema. Grace, is Arizona the location of the Pawn Stars? Are you familiar with that show?
The show Pawn
Pawn
Stars.
Star? Yeah, yeah. Rick.
Pawn Stars. I think they are off of Vegas. They're in the Las
Ah,
Vegas in
okay, okay.
Nevada. So they're just one state north of us, and so
Oh,
very
okay.
similar uh geography.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that they are near to um the desert also. They were testing some things during one of the episodes in the desert, like this sand buggy.
Mm-hmm.
You're
That's a
watching
fun
that
thing.
you're watching that show,
Me,
Grace.
no, no. I've just seen it like
Uh
if I go get the car done or car fixed, it's like in the waiting room lobby or something.
I see, I see. Yeah. It's an interesting
I like when they get into like the stories of the items.
yes, of the
It's actually
items.
kind of
Yes.
it's actually kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah, you will
Okay.
learn so much things about those items that are being brought in their shops. But of course, the business aspect would be kind of stage, I would say.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Index will be grocery name.
I was on mute. What I was saying was the first step for this one is to import the library, and then after that define the lists for your prices and the grocery items, and then after that apply the series function. And yeah, I should be giving you an example in which it's not needed. This line in particular is not needed, but there would be a slight difference on the codes. So after you've shared your answers, I'll be sharing you that version. I don't typically do it with this first line. I just did it for class so that it's more easy to follow.
I think I didn't understand well, so I will be waiting for Grace
Okay, sure,
to
sure.
show her.
Which part, Hasiba, is uh uh
As I see this example, it says unit price series one, then series that unit price. I don't know how you combined all these.
hmm.
Uh, so yeah,
So
I
okay, okay. You're pertaining to this one, right? You're
yeah,
pertaining
the
to
page that I'm seeing as an
this one.
example. Yeah.
Okay. So
So I didn't
basically
get
there
exactly how to join or
to
how to
join them.
combine all yeah,
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 so the magic is in this line. Okay. So
yeah.
if you look at it, the unit prices, so the one that we have above this one is actually this. And the index part is referring to the part names. So this index equals here is actually an argument, right? This is an argument. So you're basically saying here that, okay, create the series named unit underscore price underscore series 2, use the unit prices as the values, and the indices of those values would be the part names. So you have the values in the output and the corresponding index labels from the part names. Okay?
Okay.
Do you
Okay.
follow, Hasiba, or
Yeah,
which part? Um,
yeah, I'm following.
okay, okay. So the important thing here is to first be able to define your list. What are the contents of it? And then after that, this line right here is the way to use a particular list, okay, that you have created and use one of those as index, okay? So
Okay.
that's how we were able to combine this unit prices and part names. So the unit prices here would be the values, and the part names would be the index labels. So the index labels, we can use them to access the values, similar to how we use the index labels and list with a square bracket, right? So for example, you want to know, okay, what is the associated part for the 200? What you can do is, or it should be the other way around. What would be the associated price for, say, the doors? So the query would be like um the series name square bracket doors. Okay, I'll be showing it to you later
Sure. Yeah,
slicing the series. Yeah.
I think that would be good for me when you're typing and explaining.
Okay, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll do
Thank
that.
you.
Yep. Welcome. And thank you for that feedback, Nasiba. It's um helpful to gauge. Okay. The discussion. So yep, Grace, were you able to finish the creation of the series, or you
Yeah,
encountered?
I just transposed it with the prompt grocery prices, and some
Okay.
takeaways is I still can't remember the quotes for the string. Okay, so I have a screenshot in the chat. I don't know
Okay.
if
Let
that's
me
what you're
see.
looking at.
Yeah. Let me see. Um, it's Okay, still loading. Okay, from pandas import. Let me put it in here. The pandas SPD grocery prices. Um, bananas, coffee. That would be the grocery items. This is actually correct. Did you encounter any errors from this?
Yeah, so that's what I was going over is I need to still remember to put quotes when I put a string.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the only other one was like I'm turning this grocery price series into a series. So when it
Hmm.
says equal series, I had to capitalize the S.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and then
It's
those are my
pretty capital.
errors. But
Mm-hmm.
my question is, this first two lines, import pandas and from pandas import. Oh, wait, I think I have the answer. I was like, what is the purpose of this? It feels like we could have written this on regular Panda language, but we were importing the series. So when I have these two lists, put it into a series, so it had to be imported from pandas. Is that what those first two lines are
Uh,
saying?
no, actually, the first what the first two lines are saying, well, they are for two different things. So for the first line, you're actually importing the library, the pandas library. And for the second line, what you're saying here is from the pandas library, you import series in the data frame. So I was saying earlier that this second line is not really needed. So let me show you exactly why. Okay,
Mm.
let me let me go back to my collab. Okay, my mouse is not cooperating. Now, where's my collab? Okay, so let's consider here uh two lists. Okay, just an arbitrary list. So list one would be say 1, 2, 3, and then list two would be let's just make things simple, okay? Just for the purpose of discussion. So basically, what I can do with this, so assume that we don't have that. We don't have this, okay? We only have import pandas SPD. Let's delete this one. Okay. Oh no. Um, well, instead of deleting it, I just could have made the thing as a comment. Anyway, yeah. So don't forget to enclose this strings in quotation marks, whether single or double. But if you don't, Python would think, okay, that you're referring to a variable, but the variables are not yet existing, so the system would telling you they are not defined yet. I think that's the first error that Grace encountered. So after that, I'll be creating a my series. I'll be calling it my underscore series. And what I'll do, notice I don't have the from here from pandas import series. What I'll be doing is I'll be applying pd series, pd dot series, and then we have list one as the values, and then the index would be the list two. Okay, and then of course let's print that series. So I'll be highlighting the difference of this.
Jeff,
First,
Jeff, are you able to zoom in on your collab at all?
yeah,
I'm
sure.
not seeing if. Okay, yes. It looked like you're putting in quotes, like index quote list two. So I said that wouldn't make sense. Okay.
Um, sorry, I got lost. Were you referring to this one, or
Yeah,
was it?
it was just so zoomed out. It looked like it
Okay.
was quotations.
Oh,
I said that's
sorry.
not
Yeah.
quotations, right? So I just
No, no,
asked
no.
to zoom in. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, sure. So yeah, as you can see in here, this is quite different to the example that we had in this slide. So what I did in here, instead of importing, instead of importing the series
Series.
to the data frame in pandas, I just directly use it. Remember, series and data frames, of course, the data frame is not relevant here, only the series. The series is already existing in pandas, so importing it is already sufficient. And how can you access everything in this library? You just use the dot. Okay. Remember how we apply the dot extend, the dot drop, the dot pop, those methods, right? Those methods are like base methods that can be only applied to list. However, since we've already imported pandas, we are telling the system, okay, those functions that are or methods that are from the pandas library would be the ones that well, specifically the series will be used in here. So compare this, okay, compare this to this version. They would be the same, exact same thing, but okay, but I will have what we had with the slides. So from pandas import series data frame. Of course, it, again, the data frame is not really relevant here. Okay, it's irrelevant. So we can do away with that and only maintain series here. So what we're saying again in this line is we are specifically importing series, so you don't have to necessarily call PD every time you use that function. So it could be standalone now. So instead of pd.series, what you can do now is to remove the PD because you've already imported it from Python. Okay, so it's readily available, okay, in your system. So when you run this, it would just be the same actual thing. Okay, that's why I said that this line is not really needed. So me, what I'm actually doing in practice is this. I won't I won't use this thing, but I just showed it to you in class to make it more obvious. To make it more obvious and more easy to follow. Okay, does it make sense, guys? Or please ask your questions if it's not really clear.
Yeah, this is all we have to learn. I'm golden.
Okay, okay. Yep. So again, it depends on you. If you feel that this version is easier for you to follow, then so be it. But this is what you would basically see in practice. Okay, in the actual uh setup. And yep. Okay. So let's go back to the slides. So that is the practice here. So this is another, okay, another answer to that. And one other thing, guys, once you import this, like if you have a brand new collab, during the first cell, you imported all of the libraries that you need. You don't necessarily need to run it over and over again. So if you run this somewhere earlier, you don't have to run it again to be able to access all of the functions inside pandas. So the system would recognize that it's already loaded, it's already imported, and would show that you can you can directly use it. Run it only once. Okay, don't put it in every cell. Okay, and yep, I hope that's clear. So accessing elements of a series. So remember, one of the use of the indices would be for accessing the values, okay, associated with them. So the same thing as what we did with tuples, with libraries. Um, of course, the libraries, we don't have any index labels with them, but we use the keys. With lists, we use the indices, the actual indices, right? Starting from zero. So series combine the properties of lists and dictionaries. We can access the values of a series using a list style access. That is, using the index value together with the square bracket. We are already familiar with that. Number two is we can access the keys with our values using a dictionary style access. So let's see what I'm saying here. So for the list style access, so this would be this using the actual index label, right? So basically, um, with series, if you refer to zero, okay, together with a square bracket for the purpose of slicing or accessing the associated value, you would just basically apply the principle with the list. So here we have the unit price 3, which is now a series, and the 0 here corresponds to 500. You might be saying, Jeff, isn't it that the index value now of this unit price series 3 should be wheels? The answer is yes. However, specifically for accessing the values, you can still use this idea, okay? Because it's still an ordered collection, okay? It's still an ordered collection, just like the list. So when you do this, like 3 and then um, colon, but what you're basically doing is you're starting with the index value of 3. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So you're starting from the engine up until to the last, okay? Because you don't put anything in here. Remember the thing that we did with list, right? If you don't put anything in the start and in the stop position, it could all of the things. If you don't put anything in the stop, then it would basically from whatever starting point you assign, okay, whatever index label, it would it would select all of the next elements up until to the last. So that's what happened here. So from 3, you only have the last item as body. That's why you have engine and body here. Do you follow, guys? Okay. Oh, I think that's clear. How about with this dictionary style access? So it's kind of similar in a sense that um, you'll be needing to utilize the keys, right? The keys in here. So basically, the keys would be referring to the index labels, right? However, one thing with dictionaries or theories, rather, as compared to this dictionaries, is that the index labels is not necessarily unique. So you can have two windows in there for a series. Okay, it's perfectly fine if they have the same value or different values. It's still possible with a series. Remember, in dictionaries, we cannot do that, right? It would tell us, it would give us an error that the keys must be unique. But with series, it's not. So that's one thing that you have to remember. And I have a section here somewhere near the end comparing the differences between series and dictionary and series and list. Okay. So here again, we use the actual index labels, the names. So here the windows correspond to 100. We accessed the value, okay, through that. And that's intuitive, right? This is more intuitive as compared to the list style. These are actually using what the actual index values is, right? So in this case, Windows. And you can use or access multiple key value pairs just by using double square brackets. So here, what we're accessing would be body, engine, and Windows. Okay, and we can combine them to have this combined style access. Let me show you this. This is actually um, interesting because it's not common, right? This is very uncommon. Well, it's common with list style access because what you're showing here would be the start and stop, but it's very uncommon to put strings to it. Okay, but with series, it's perfectly fine. The system knows that you're working with a series, and it allows this kind of thing. So from the wheels, okay, from the wheels up to the windows. So basically this. And one thing that you might find different here would be the stop. So with the combined style access, okay, the stop would actually be included. So with the list, like the stop position is not actually included, right? But here it is included. So the windows right here would be included. That's why you have three items or objects in the output. So always remember that. That's one distinction. Okay. Okay. So let's have the comparisons. So series versus list versus dictionaries. Is it, you might be thinking, is it even important that you know these differences? The basic answer is yes. That's why it's included here. Why? Well, you might be stuck, okay? You might be stuck in a thing, especially with Python, because you were thinking that a method is being the method that you're thinking um can be applied to the data or the data structure that you have. So you might waste so much time thinking why the method doesn't work on what you have if you don't know this differences. Okay, so let me go through each of them. So recall the ways in which a series is different from a list. The values in a series are all the same type, whereas a list can contain various data types. We can give different values to the indices of a series, whereas the indices of a list are set integers. That's one major difference. Now, here are the ways that a series is different from a dictionary. The keys of a dictionary are unordered, but okay, this is the biggest one, but the order of the indices in a series matters. Okay, so we said during the discussion of the dictionaries is that um, it's not it's not assured that how you how you sequence the values, the key value pairs would be exactly how it would be shown in the print output because basically unordered, right? But with the series, the indices matters. Okay, the same thing. Why we were able to do this kind of slicing is the ordering matters. Okay, the ordering matters. So in a dictionary, all the keys have to be distinct. And I've already said this. It's not the case for a series. So here in the series that you have, it's perfectly fine if you have like two wheels in there, which is exactly having the same name. Okay, having the same names, even with the same values, it's perfectly fine. Okay, you cannot do that with a typical dictionary, right? Because it would violate one of the reason why you are working with a dictionary, that you have a unique key. So that's the main difference with dictionaries and series. So practice number two, accessing parts of a series. So using the grocery bill series from the previous practice, show the first two items with their prices and show the price of the last item. So this is very easy. Let me just go back here for clarity. So this is the one that I was pertaining to. So let's do it again. I'll be recreating this one. So from here, there would be prices, and that would be a list containing these values. And then items would be apples, rice, corn, and cumin. Cumin, one of the secret recipe of Mima in um, Young Sheldon. If you're watching Big Bang Theory, anyone of you here watching Big Bang Theory? No.
I used to long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, you have Jeff. Um, Hi, Jeff.
Is it on Big Bang or that other spin-off show,
The
Young
Hello.
Young
Sheldon?
Sheldon. Well, basically, I think it was from Young Sheldon. I think.
Yeah, I think he would have
Uh,
talked more about Mima in that show.
yeah, one of my all-time favorites. I just love the humor with. Oh, I'm speaking with or for the actual Big Bang Theory with Raj and but there well most of the episodes are actually for adults. The humor is actually most of the humors are not for kids. Anyway, so we have here. So this is um for the series. Okay, so we just created a series here. Now going back, the practice asks to show the first two items with their prices. So, well, I've already spelled the answer, so basically we'll just, well, it depends on us. We can do it with so many ways, right? So let's try different ways. So we have grocery here, and we can slice it. I can apply the combined method. So for the first two items, I can make it more complicated by saying, okay, I want apples to rice. So this is the combined method, right? Oh, it would be better if we show everything, right? All of the methods that we Combined, so this would be list plus dictionary style. Why is it combined? Because you're using the start step or start stop step idea with the list, slicing list or accessing objects in a list. And you are using the dictionary style because you're using the sort of keys or index labels here, which responds to the
So,
actual
Jeff, one of
hmm,
the important differences within the series versus dictionary is series includes the stop, right?
yes, yes,
Whereas the slicing it would have just given you apples and then that's it.
yes, yes. That's one major difference. If you try applying it here, you might be confused because wait a minute, why is it even including the stop object, right? If you do zero to one in here with um wait, where is this? Zero one. Hmm, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, for that's only works for the combined actually. I may want to highlight that to the combined one, but if you specifically use, yeah, let's highlight that here using the um, list style, and then dictionary, dictionary style. Where was that last example when we highlighted the? I think this is that example, right? So for the combined style, it's including the stop. Okay, let me add more into that. Let me expound further why the system is able to include the stop position with this. Okay, and why is it not including it here? So basically, if you go here from the original series, you would see that okay, the actual um the actual index labels are being reflected, right? So typically for a list style selection, this 01 should be referring to both apples and rice. But as you can see, it's only referring to apples. So why is that? So let me just go back here, okay? When you're using the combined, so list plus dictionary style, the system actually um, looks at in a way that it's using the actual index values, okay? As compared here, that instead of looking to the actual index values, it's sort of applying the idea with the list. So it's only looking with the values, okay? So when it looks with the values and ignores this new index labels, it would basically apply the same principle with list, and it would not include the stop in here. So we still have zero, okay, which is the first element, and it doesn't include the stop, which is supposedly the rice. So only thing, the only difference is when you combine it together with the dictionary style, because the system actually um you sort of specified to the system that you're after exactly this this value corresponding to the index of rice. Okay, guys, was it something clear about this? Because in the dictionary style, let's go back to that. With the dictionary style, you're actually using the actual name of the index label. So say we want to extract, mm, we want to extract multiple. So that would be double square bracket apples and rice. So inside it would be double square brackets apples and rice. So this is how we do it. I know should not be colon, but comma. So this is how you do it with dictionary style, using the double square bracket. This is how you do it with the list style. We basically apply the idea with the list. And then this is how you do it with the combined. So this is where, so note that this is where the main distinction lies. Main distinction lies. The stop is included. Okay, is it clear? Grace in the group. Let me just zoom it a bit. All clear? Okay. Oh, just highlight this part. So if you would ask me, okay, Jeff, you've mentioned this different styles, which should be the best to be used. Um, well, if you will just strictly work with series, um, the best way is to use the actual index labels. So I would say the dictionary style is the best. But again, it depends on your preference. Yep, Grace, please go ahead.
Um, I've been thinking of it as like
Mm,
inside a list or dictionary, now a series, but then you just resaid something that, like in this part, the grocery items is a renaming of the index, right?
yes, the grocery item is a renaming of the index. Yes, that's
So
actually
then
correct.
in that second to last example,
Mm,
if you're renaming the indexes, but then you put groceries bracket 0 colon
you're
2,
you're disregarding the naming and you're treating it as a list because it's still ordered. The ordering
but
still
it will
matters.
it will still read it as those index values, even though
Yes,
it's been renamed.
yeah, still it would still read the actual index labels, but it's treating it as just a list in a sense that it's not using the actual names of the index labels, but it's using the ordering. Remember, we highlighted it here. Let me see that the ordering matters.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yep, in a dictionary. Where, where was or in a series? Let's see, where is that?
The in series, the lower one, the series matters, the order.
Um, uh,
Or two, the first two different values. No, that's not it.
yeah, I think this one is relevant to that. Let's go back there. That's a great question. So Here you might be thinking, oh, okay, Jeff, how is the system seeing this? Is it seeing this and applying the slicing through the new index labels, or is it completely neglecting the labels and just using the fact that the objects inside the series are ordered? So the answer is the latter. It's
Mm-hmm.
used the idea that it is ordered. Similar is with list. Remember, the reason why we cannot apply this specific type of slicing with dictionaries is because dictionaries are unordered. So that's why we need to specify the keys in order to access the values in a dictionary. However, in a series, you kind of have that advantage of being able to use the new index labels as well as use the fact that it is ordered. So if you're more familiar with slicing ordered collection, whether it is a tuple, whether it is a list, then this is easier for you because this is actually the same thing. But there are advantages as well as using the dictionary style. Because again, there would be times that there would have index labels of the same the same name multiple times in your data set. It would appear like there would be 30 wheels in there. So if you want to count it like one by one and identify, okay, how many, up to how many, or up to what index label should we get, then it would be a problem to you. Well, as compared to just specifying, okay, from this up to that. This you already know what you're looking for, right? So for me, that's the dictionary style is more advantageous in that scenario because you already know what you're looking for. You don't have to count and identify where you should stop. Okay, just specify the actual index labels. So it's very simple for the case of the dictionary style. This could look this could look efficient because we're only considering a very small set of rows, but imagine having like so many rows, then um that would be a pain. It would be very confusing. Does it make sense, guys? Am I still making sense here? Okay, just remember, okay, from the thing that Grace pointed out, um, this makes use of or the characteristic of series being ordered. That's why we were able to do this. And this, aside from the fact that it is ordered, we are actually telling the system to specifically where to start and where to stop. And the stop here, unlike this, is actually included. Unlike with the list, okay, with the list style, the stop here with the combined style, the stop is included. Why is it included? It got it from the dictionary style. The list style here is the ability to specify the start and the stop, similar to a list, but being able to specifically put the string names just like keys. Okay, uh, that's from the dictionary. So you're getting the best things in the two different worlds. Okay, so that's it for this part. Let's have the second. Well, we actually did this, right? Okay, so let me show you this negative one. So that negative one would just give you the last element. So I think we've already discussed this. So the value 2.5 actually refers to the last one. Okay. So with that, let's move forward. And this is it. Okay. This is the type of data structure in which you'll be burning most of your time with in the industry. Data frames. Why? Series, think of it as just one column. Data frame, think of it as an Excel spreadsheet that you have a column and you have rows. Okay? So let's formally define what's a data frame. Okay. Um, so a data frame is a two-dimensional data structure, which can be thought of as a table that has rows and columns. So, in other words, you can think of a data frame as a table and a series as a column. Now, I have here an example of a data frame. Okay, so the first one that you're seeing at your screen is a data frame with unlabeled indices. Similar to when we created the series and we do not assign any index labels. So it used the index labeling similar with the list. So it started with 0. Okay. So notice the structure of the creation of a data frame. Well, there's so many ways to do this. Okay. I just included here the technique that I'm using typically in creating a data frame. So you might be thinking, Jeff, is it a thing that you'll be creating a data frame from scratch in Python? The answer is no. Most of the time, you'll be importing the data set because it's a pain to create or to input like 10,000 rows and do it manually in Python. Most of the time, you'll be connecting to a database. There's a way to run SQL queries together with Python in Colab. Okay. Um, it's called SQL Magic. So we are converting a cell into a SQL platform sort of thing so that we can use it to connect to a database, get some data through SQL queries. After that, convert it as a pandas data frame and do analysis with it. That's why I told you that it's a bad idea to do statistical analysis using SQL because you can just use it as like a preparatory stage for the sole purpose of communicating to the database. And if you want to do manipulation and cleaning, then do it with pandas. Pandas offers so many methods for that purpose. So again, going back here, we are using curly brackets, and the first thing that you're seeing is the column name. The unit price is a variable here. It's a column name. Okay, it's a column name, and then it is followed by a colon and then a list of values. So those are the inputs. Okay, and then you have another here, another variable, another column, number of units. Okay, and a list of values. So that's one way of creating a data frame. Okay, and basically, in order to make it a pandas data frame, you would be applying this data frame right here. So at this point, I want you to think, is it a dictionary or is it a list? Solely at this point. Um, so at this point,
Dictionary.
exactly, this is a dictionary. A dictionary with the unit prices key, a number of units, and we have the associated values, which is, remember, the associated values could be on a form of a data structure. It could be a string. It could be a tuple of string. It could be a list of string or a list of numerical values. Okay, so if you look into different ways of creating a data frame, just want to see this, you would see that there are different ways to do that. Um, it could be from a list. Let's copy this one. Let me switch back to my Colab. You see the one from a dictionary. Now you would see a one from a list. So this one, it is a nested list, right? So this outer square bracket and this inner square brackets give us idea that this is a nested list. So a list of lists. So here, if we run this, we would be able to see that we can create a data frame. Okay. However, as you can see, there's no specified column names. So the system by default assigns 0, 1, 2 to column names if you don't specify any. Similar with index labels. So it would also apply 0, 1, 2 in here. But there's a way to edit the column names. Okay. There's a way to do that. Let's see. Let's consider this one. So we have here the data. Let's see. Let's put it on the next line. Um, so here, the data, so this is the value that we're referring to. So now we are assigning index labels. So the index would now be, instead of 0, 1, 2, it would now be ABC. So most of the time, there's no need for you to change the index labels. It could stay as 0, 1, 2. You just have to remember it. Because if you want to access any specific row in your data set, you have to remember that, okay, you have the default one. So this part right here in practice is not really needed. However, it's a different thing with columns because the column names, okay, refer to the specific variables and you have to know them. You have to have a name for each of it, okay, for each of the columns to efficiently do the analysis. So now we are specifying here, okay, that the columns will be equal to age or name, age, and gender. So can we do it here? The answer is yes. We can actually do it here. So let me just copy this part and put it in here. Okay, so when we do that, we'll have a proper index value and a proper column name for this data frame that we have created from a nested list. So you can find so many examples of this in the internet, and it's not really needed that you memorize, okay? Because you will not be creating data frames from scratch. So at least you just know how to create them for like maybe technical interview. You know that it's possible to create a data frame from these different data structures. So you can even create data frames for from a series of series. Let me give you an example of that. Um, like create it from a dictionaries of series. So if we do this and copy this line, we can create a data frame. Oops, I forgot the print df. So as you can see, it's basically almost the same. So this is a dictionary of theories. So you have these things as the keys, and you have these values as series. So this is the first series, the second series, and the third series. Okay. So is there an advantage to convert it first to a series? Um, Let me think. So one advantage of that is you know that each of the columns would be of the same data type, avoiding any potential issues in the future when you apply a method or you apply a computation. But I still prefer a list because if, for example, I need to manipulate um, the values, I can easily do that with a list. So yeah, again, my bias is with list. So I still prefer even with the creation from scratch of a data frame, I would still go with the list. Okay, with the list, it's just more intuitive for me. So it depends on you. It depends on you on um which style you're more comfortable with. But again, this is not to be done in practice, like creating it from scratch again. The typical route is that you have a CSV file or a tab delimited file, an Excel file. You import that and you convert that thing into a Pandas data frame. That's the typical route. Okay, but for the purpose of discussion, it it, it, it it- it's better that you know how to create one. And even me, I don't even bother to memorize this ways of creating this through different or from different data structures. It's just not smart to do that. I won't um I should say waste a portion of my brain keeping this information when I can easily search it in the internet. I would just um use that to do critical thinking and problem solving. So anyway, going back here, going back to our slides. So we have here creating a data frame with labeled indices. So we already know how to do that. Okay. So we have the index argument also a data frame. So you can have one list, another a dictionary, right? And you can use this list that you've created as index labels. Okay. Now, I want you to create for the remaining time. No, I think this would be easy for you. Create me a data frame that looks like this. I'll be giving you maybe 10 minutes for this one. I want all of you to try. Okay, I want all of you to try um, creating a data frame from this. This is the easy. The way I did this is well, you can do it as using a list or start with a dictionary. You have the revenue and costs as the keys and the associated values as with um, 1,000 to 700, 680 to 650, and then just create a list of like index names and assign it to that dictionary, right? You will have a data frame. Okay, all of you, good. Grace, Hasiba, Jeff, let's try doing this. Okay, I'll be giving you 10 minutes. All good? All good, guys? Can I get a thumbs up if you're game to do it? No?
I'll try. try.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, let's develop the muscle memory. It's perfectly fine to encounter errors. That's how you build the skill. It's just similar to life. If you haven't done or if you haven't failed anything yet, then you're not trying hard enough. Maybe in the future you can just tell your AI to, okay, hey, I want you to create a data frame for me that contains the following columns: revenue cost, with revenue having the following items or values: 1,000, 500, 350, and 700, and cost 680, 300, 250, and 650. And then after that, create index tables corresponding to paper, staples, glue, and scissors. I think it's very easy for AI to pick up. I think I think Microsoft should start developing. I'm not sure if Copilot has that, but it could be some sort of an application that automatically starts once you open your computer. So it would like be a personal assistant to you. So it might make the keyboard be obsolete. You can just talk to that to navigate through the computer, like open a browser. I'm not sure if there's something already like that. I think people would be very interested to that, just like the Jarvis thing with Iron Man. I think that would be pretty awesome. I tried to develop one, but I failed. I saw this video of programming that developed his own Jarvis, but I think my time. I need to invest more time to develop one. I lost track of time. Okay, still have 5 minutes. By the way, my typical error when creating a data frame is I don't usually capitalize D and F. For some reason, Can you remember, John, if data frame in R is lowercase d and f? So anyway, but yeah, the typical error I usually commit with creating data frame is, yeah, instead of capital D and F, I use lowercase. Maybe I'm confusing myself with R. I just look at it, it's data dot frame with lowercase. So that could be the reason. It's confusing to switch from one programming language to the other. Okay, anyone who's done, we still have 3 minutes. Two minutes. Last minute. And the one who's done? Hasiba, Jeff, Grace? Or should I think I should have shown um the example, right? Similar to what we did. Okay, no one's finished yet, guys? Okay, so yeah, let me see the chat box. I see Hasiba's sent something. Okay, revenue cost. Perfect. Can you walk us through, Hashib?
Where is our instructor?
I'm extremely sorry about that. I tried to close the share, but I accidentally clicked the leave. Okay, that's funny. Um, Hasiba, can you share your screen, please, and walk us through your solution? Hasiba? Yeah, you follow the previous example. Okay. Yeah, let me let me share my screen again. So, so what you have in here is okay. So your starting point was this is a dictionary type, right? So this is a dictionary type. So this was the first example that we talked about that you can create the columns from the keys of a dictionary, like the revenue, the cost, and then you have a list of values, and then just apply the data frame function from the pandas library, and then use the data as arguments, and index would be equal to the needed index labels, so paper, staples, glue, and scissors. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, this is perfect. So this is one way. Of course, you can still arrive on the same thing with a different style. So again, what works for you? You can explore different ways. Okay, so that is. Let me see it again. I did it in a different way. I just followed the framework that I've showed you earlier. This one. I just added a products list, and I use the index argument in the data frame function so that I can create the index corresponding to the list of products that I created. So this is similar to what you did, Hasiba. So great work. Just a different approach. Okay. So that's one good thing about programming. You can be creative. The more tools you know, okay, the more um, tricks you know, the more creative you can be in programming. I assure you that. So, accessing columns from a data frame. We talked about that with series. We talked about that with lists, dictionaries, and other data structures. But this is the most important. And you see, the knowledge that we developed from the previous discussion about this can be carried out to how we can access elements in a data frame. So what are we accessing here? We are accessing a column. That's what we typically do. So this this thing, I think it was from the previous example, uh, somewhere here. So it is a column, okay, corresponding to this prices that you're seeing: 500, 200, 100, 2,000, and 5,000. Okay. Now, what if you have to do a data pre-processing in a sense that you want to create another column similar to what we did with Power Query and Excel? So you want to create a new column from the existing columns by applying arithmetic operations or applying or doing new computations. So how would you do that? So currently, you only have unit price, okay, and number of units as your columns. In order to create a new one, you'll be applying this concept: DF square brackets total price. So this is the way of accessing a column. But this time, we are using it together with the equality symbol that we typically do when we create a variable, right? But now it's not a variable that we're creating, it's a column. And what would be the values? The values would be the product between unit price and number of units. Notice that we used an asterisk here for the multiplication. So this would create a new column in your data frame called total price and would populate each of the rows. Do you follow? Do you follow, guys? This is very important. This is something you should know by heart. Okay? Another aspect would be accessing the rows via the index labels. But I'll be introducing to you new functions for that. We cannot just access them directly through their index values. There has to be some sort of another layer. Okay, but this one, I want you to look at it carefully and tell me that it's clear. Okay, because you'll be doing this most of the time as a data analyst. Create new columns. Okay, again, originally you only have unit price and number of units in your data frame. And what you're doing with line number one here is you're creating a new column in that data frame DF called total price, which is the product of these two columns. Can you create a new column which is just the square of the values of the current column? Yes. So whatever valid mathematical operation, you can create a new column with. Okay? So remember that. That's important. Now, how do we access rows from a data frame? So this is important because most of the time, there will be instances in which you need to do changes. You need to do cleaning with your data points. So being able to locate the column is not sufficient. You have to locate the row. And how do you do that? Through the lock function. Okay, through the lock function. So in pandas, we use the lock. So the lock attribute, or short for locate row, to return one or more specified rows. So here, you're specifying engine, which is basically from the engine is the fourth row, right? So that what the dot lock is using is not a parenthesis. It's not a function, but an attribute. Okay, it's an attribute of a pandas data frame. So the dot lock, okay, uses the actual row or index value, index name. So what we have here is an engine, and when you do that, it would show you, okay, this is the unit price, which is an attribute, right? A column referring to 2000. Number of units is 1. Total price is 2000. So it's like transposed, okay? But the information is still the same. If you look at it, engine, unit price 2000, total price to 2000 because the number of units is 1. So imagine it as like a transposed version. Okay, name is engine, which particularly refers to the index name, and data type is integer. Gives you an idea that all of this is a number. Okay, so df dot lock, you can return more than one. So maybe you're interested in more than just one row. You can do that also. So notice that we are applying a dictionary style here, right? This is what you saw earlier. This is a dictionary style for multiple for multiple keys, right? This is something that you've seen earlier. Let me go back to that. Um, where was it? There we go. This one, right? So it's applying the same principle here, the same idea. Okay, now um, let me see here. So the one on the left is I just added a pro tip here. Put the column name in a double square brackets to format it like a data frame. So instead of seeing like a transposed version, you see it like in a proper data frame version. Maybe if you're confused with the transposed one, then this would look better. So you just have to apply the double square brackets. But for me, um, I I don't usually do that. I'm already familiar with this transposed version. Once I glance through it, I already know what the what the things are pertaining, what are the information being showed. So I don't I don't typically use the double square bracket, but it's just a pro tip. I mean, this looks a proper data frame, right? So it could help you easily visualize things as compared to this. But again, the information that you would be seeing are all the same. The presentation is just different. So, um, but when you are trying to return more rows, this the double square bracket is actually required. You cannot do away with that. Okay, that's the only way to return the multiple rows. Okay. Now you might be thinking, um, what if I want to access a certain row and a certain column? I don't want the number of units there, Jeff, and total price. I only want the unit price. Okay. How can I do that? In this look attribute, you can also specify the column. And that's what you're seeing right here. Okay. So basically here, this next part, okay, you can actually specify the column name. So this specifies the rows, okay, the index names, and then after the comma, this would be the respective column names that you want to appear. It could be more than one. It could be total price, and it could be unit price. You just have to use the combined um, the combined dictionary or list dictionary way of accessing things. Or alternatively, you can apply um, ilock. Okay, what is ilock? So ilock, as compared to the lock, is an index-based variation. Okay, it's an index-based variation in which it uses the same principle as with um, the list type of accessing. Okay, so let me go through this. There is another method for accessing the rows and columns of a data frame. That is with the ilock. We can use ilock for list-like indexing or slicing. For example, suppose we want the first two rows and the first two columns. So the first two rows here correspond to 0, 1. So 0, in this case, if we go back here, corresponds to unit price, and 1 corresponds to number of units. So the 2 is not the actual column represented by 2 is not included. Okay, and then for the columns, right? Well, actually, I was referring to the first to the columns and then the rows, but basically the idea is still the same. Okay, the idea is still the same. It's like using or doing it with list. So for the first position, that would be for the rows, and the second position uh, is for the columns, but the accessing is similar to a list. Okay, So be mindful of that. So this is one way to do the same exact thing as with this. But for me, iLock is more efficient. I love iLock more as compared with lock because lock only becomes efficient if you're analyzing very small data set. But with iLock, you can specify, okay, up until which specific row, right? Up until specific row. Because most of the time, the index tables are not really renamed. They are just 0, 1, 2, and so on. In this example that we have, I just made it in a way that we have a proper name for the index labels, but in an actual setup, it's just 0, 1, 2, and 3. That's why I always use iLock. Okay, it's more intuitive to use it. So the remaining would be practices that you can go with John because I already went over time. So John, do this remaining practices. So for the next meetings, for the next meeting on Monday, we'll be discussing how to import. So unfortunately, just like what I've predicted, well, I predicted that we can like start with it, but unfortunately, I have to highlight some things here because I feel that they're really important. So yeah. Anyway, we still have a week for Python. So early as Wednesday, I'll be assigning you the data set for your final exam. Okay, and final project. So that's what we have today, guys. I hope you learned something new. I think the discussion was pretty dense. There were so many things that we have covered. I think you've already like saturated with so much information. So, yep, I will see you again next week for like a part two of this one. And we have John to solidify the concepts by assigning and doing more practices. I think that would really help, John. So, do more practices. So, thank you very much again, and always a wonderful session with you. Bye bye. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jeff.
So before we proceed to the practices, the lab session, let's have a 15-minute break. Hello, everyone. Are you there? Asiba, Jeff, and Grace.
I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. So let's proceed to our lab session. But before that, let's have reiterate or let's have some recapitulation of the things that we have discussed so far. So I think it's better if we will review it from the start, even though we just finished it earlier, just to have a bird's eye view of the things that we have covered so far. So all in all, this topic, this class 8.1, the Python for analytics, it covers all of these things like the pandas library and the series and data frames under the pandas library. The next time, on our next meeting on Monday, we will cover the reading of CSV files. So we are directly converting CSV files into a data frame that we can access and manipulate through the Google Column. So just like our instructor said, this has multiple ways that don't worry, we will cover all of those three ways to import and access CSV files through the Google Column. And after we finish reading CSV files through the Google Column, since we have a table in our Google Column, it consists of rows, columns. We can now describe the data that we have. But before we reach this level, it's important to understand how can we manipulate those things, specifically the data frames. And the way we can do it is by understanding its fundamentals, the series, and also the data frames that are both under the pandas library. So pandas, we have covered it a while ago. This is a library. So it has special methods and functions that can only be accessed under the pandas. And those methods and functions are specifically designed for cleaning, manipulating our data frame. The data frame is just, you can think of it as another term for a table. So the data frame is the table itself, while the columns that consists or that makes up this data frames, each individual columns are called series. So if we say series, it pertains to a column, while if we say data frames, it describes combination of series, or it just make up it makes up a table or a combination of series to make up a table. So a series, we have seen it earlier, it is like a list, but its main difference with a list is, what's special about the series is all of the inputs or of the information that are under the series, they must have the same data type. If that is a string, all of the elements in that particular column must also be a string. If that is a number, all of them must also be a number. So that is one of the things that we should take note, that this is the main difference of a series compared to other data structures such as lists and tuples. All of them should have the same type. For us, to avoid some errors, like for in the future, since based on this, we will describe our data. What if our column, we have this column and we want to summarize it by calculating its average or representing the measures for central tendency such as mean, median, mode, the standard deviation, and so on. That those things we will cover that on the statistics, but those things will have some introduction in our discussions about the series and the data frames once we learned how to upload CSV files into the Python Colab. So one of the few things that you should remember, all of the information under a series, they should have the same data type, because it doesn't make any sense if we are computing, for example, an average and there is a string under that column. If that is the case, all of them will be read as a string. And you can take note of it. You heard it from me the last couple discussions. It is called coercion in programming, wherein a data type is adjusting because of another data type. Let's say you have numbers and they are first to be converted into strings because one of the inputs under that series is a string. Okay, so continuing into this, we have different ways of accessing elements in a series. So before we continue, let's open an Excel file. And I hope this thing can help you visualize the things that we are talking about. So in a list, we know that we can access the elements using indexing, right? And the indices in a list is it is starting from 0 and so on. So suppose I have this list of elements. Let's say apple, banana, grapes. What else? Watermelon, and what else? Let's say kiwi. Just a couple of list of elements of a fruit. So if this is a list, imagine this is a list. We can access its elements through indices. Let's say we want to access apple, we can use 0. And these are as follows. What else we know about the indexing? We know we can apply negative indices, right? Like this last element, we can access it using negative indices, -1, -2, and so on. So let's like this. So suppose this is a list. Imagine this is a list of fruits. Fruits. This is a list of fruits, and if that is a list, as we know, this apple can be accessed by using the syntax fruits, and then followed by square brackets. Inside the square bracket is the index, right? So the thing is, we can convert things into a series. And the good thing in a series is we can assign what we are calling, me personally, I am calling it modified indices because we can assign um, modified indices, exactly modified indices in each of the items that we have. So for example, in the on the apple, we can assign product 1, this is product 2, this is product 3, oops, product 4, and product 5. And as you can guess, we can access these elements using the modified index that we have introduced in the memory of Python. So let's call this modified index. This is the negative indices. And we also have the other one, the positive index. So in a series, you can access these items, apple, banana, grapes, watermelon, and kiwi, in 3 different ways. You can access it using the modified index, or you can access it using the positive and the negative indices. So 3 different ways of accessing this. So let's try to see if we can apply it in real time. Let's create a series which contains these items. So on the Google Colab, I suggest you also follow this thing. I will copy and paste it on the chat box so that if you want also to replicate the thing that we will perform at this point is you can do it. Okay, so the name of the series is fruits. So first let's create a list that contains these values. So what we have in our list, let's say this is my list. You can name it anything you like. You have banana. What else? Grapes, watermelon, and kiwi. Let's check if we have the same inputs. Apple, banana, grapes, watermelon, kiwi. Apple, banana, grapes, watermelon, kiwi. And this is a list. As of the moment, this is a list. But there is a way to convert it into a series, and that is by using one of the methods under the pandas library. So before that, before we convert it, let us always remember that whenever we are working with pandas, whenever we are working with series and data frames, we need the library pandas. So the first step is to do this. Import pandas as PD. So as we know, this part, we are importing pandas library in our system, and this part as PD, just like what we have seen, how we save it in SQL. This is like assigning the PD as an alias for the pandas. And why PD? PD just because it is the convention that whenever you are working with a team of programmers and they are um, working with Panda, when they saw this group of letter P and D, so PD, they can understand that this is a panda. This is pandas library. And apart from that, you need this line from pandas import series as well as data frame. And here we need to highlight something wherein on these two lines, specifically on the second line, if you are calling series, okay, the first letter should be uppercase. And in the case of data frame, D and F should be uppercase. Okay, series and is just the first letter. The first letter should be in uppercase. The data frame, the data and the frame, D and should be written in uppercasing. And let's check if this will work. Okay, there's no problem. So this means we have a completely working code. And now we will convert this list into a series. And can someone still remember how can we convert a list into a series? So let's say we will call it fruits. The list that will be converted into series will be called fruits. So can you still remember how can we convert these lists into a series? Anyone? Let me open the chat box through the other device so that I can see if someone is typing. Anyone? Grace, Hasiba, and Jeff? How can we convert this into a series? Are you still there? Do you remember it or not yet?
Sorry, John, I'm not getting. I can't remember the whole thing. Right? It's
Okay.
PD series capital S.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, let's break that down. So PD that series, and then inside the parentheses, you need to
my
insert.
list.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the what we can say the most basic way of how can we convert a list into a series. So you still remember how can we convert? Let's say let's have a quick review. How can we convert the lists, this list, into a tuple? Just a review. Review for typecasting. Typecasting is the term that we are using to describe that we are converting one data type or data structure into another. So to convert this lists into a tuple, what is the thing that we are doing? Let's say we will call that version that converted item into a tuple. And what we are doing is we have this part and we are just inserting our lists, right? Do you see any similarities between this and this? If we want to convert it into a tuple, we are using this syntax, right? My lists, and outside that, we have this tuple. And that's why when we check the data type, what is the type of my two? We can see that it is now a tuple, but here, if we check the type of my lists, this is a list. This is a list. Here, this list was converted into a tuple using this, right? Tuple, and this keyword is enclosing my lists. The same structure that we have for converting a list into a series. So instead of enclosing it by a tuple, in which that is what the thing that we have performed here, instead of using the keyword tuple, we are using the keyword series. Okay? And where does series came from? It's from the pandas. That's why we have PD that series. This part, we are just saying that the series can be accessed through this library. From this library, rather. Is that clear to everyone? The way we converted lists into a series is by using this. And if you want to see the series version, is call it fruits, and it will present you what it is. Okay? 0 for apple, 1 for banana, 2 for grapes, 3 for watermelon, 4 for the kiwi. And we are familiar of this. And that is the exact thing that we have seen on the Excel. 0 to 4, right? This is the thing. Here, we can enclose it into a print. But remember what I have told you previously about the prints. We can drop it whenever this thing, this fruits, is the last thing that happened within the cell. Right? That's why I am just calling it fruits. But if you want it to be explicitly displayed, you can introduce the print function and it will perform the same thing. Okay? And the good thing in series is we have a choice to introduce modified what we call modified indices. This part. Modified indices. So for the sake of our example, let's use those modified indices. Let's use this modified indices to have um, modified index for this. Okay. So in another cell, what I will do is to create another list that will contain my names. So the first one is product 1. The second one is product 2. And then until product 5. Product 4 and product 5. And to have modified index in our series, okay, we will just perform some modifications on this. This part, this sixth line on this cell, we know that it converts our list into a series. And that is the same thing that we will perform here. Let's call this fruits 2. The name of the second series that we are doing is fruits 2. So pd.series, we are calling this part because we want to convert something into a series. And what is the thing that you are converting into a series? The same thing, this list, my lists. Okay, my lists. And the only difference of this series that we are creating right now is we want to introduce index wherein here we want to use this as our indices. And the name of this container is what? Names. So it looks like this. So let us break this down before I run this. Fruits. Here, okay, I think it's better if I will transfer this also to this so that you can see it. Initially, we have 2 lists of items. One contains the fruits itself or the items itself. One is for the names. But understanding the data structure of these 2, you can see that both of them are lists, right? We can all of us agree that these 2 are lists. Now, we are using these 2 lists to be converted into a series. But the difference is this is the item while the other one is the modified index. So how are we doing that? So since we are converting into a series, we are using this pd.series. Again, series came from pandas. And remember that pandas, okay, pandas as pd. So the shorter term for the pandas is pd. That's why here we can use pd. So from the series came from the pandas, we are using that to convert my lists into a series. But here we are using the names as the index. Is that clear? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to raise it as early as now so that it will not be carried on the next meetings, because on the next meetings we will handle larger data sets. And as you can see here, right, this part converted our list into a series. And after we call the series, it looks like this, right? This part, okay, look at this. You can see its similarity to this, right? The same inputs, the same information, apple, banana, grapes, watermelon, kiwi, the same here because we are using the same lists. But on the first one, since we did not specify the index, it retained 0, 1, 2, until 4. Here, since we specified the index, it followed our order, wherein we explicitly said that I want you to use this list to be the names of my items. And that's what exactly Python is presenting to us, right? So actually we have this, the modified index, the positive index, and this. This negative index, you don't need to perform it. It is innate. It is natural for Python. So now, to see what we are talking about, let us access, let's say, Apple from the series. Let's access Apple from the series. As you can remember earlier, we have two ways of accessing elements in a series. We have lists like accessing, and we also have dictionary like accessing. So what is the thing, or what is the hint that we can use to say that what we are doing is list like, or to say what we are doing is dictionary like? Okay, so if you are using index, if you are using this part, oops, wrong choice of color. Let me change it into black. Oops. Okay. Let me remove the borders as well. If you are using the indices, either positive or negative, what you are doing is this like. Does that make sense? Is that clear, or am I being too fast? Grace and the group, everyone, Hasiba, Jeff, please let me know if I am too fast in the view of the concepts that we have covered right now. And you have a lot of questions. That part is totally understandable that at this point you still have a lot of questions. This is the first time, I assume this is the first time that you have encountered this a set of codes wherein you are somehow manually creating table in the Python console. If please let me know even at the chat box, or even some reactions. It will be helpful. I join my other account. It would be helpful if even some reaction, even some questions through the chat box. I can uh, assess whether you understand the concept or not. If you are not yet getting it, we can have some further explanations of what is happening on our codes. But right now, is everything clear? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's good.
thank you for that. Everything is clear. So maybe you are maybe you are wondering. Here, we modified the indices. We have product 1, product 2, and so on. Where is the positive and the negative index? Since we modified it, does it mean that these two were overwritten? The answer is no. We can still access, let's say, Apple using the positive index, the negative index, and the product or the modified index. So we can access elements in a series in 3 different ways. And that is true for data frames as well. So remember, data frames, it is just a combination of um, series. It is just combination of these columns. I will on this, I will represent series as yellow boxes. So let's have here the let's call this the items. These are, let's say, the price quantities, and let's say price per quantity. And let's generate some random numbers here. And let's say some prices. This is 2, 1, 3, 5, 6. And before we have, before we proceed that, let me just fix it. So this is a series itself. Oops, this is a series. This is another series. This is another series. So that is just a combination of series. This all in all is a data frame. But my tip is don't be confused with, wait, let me fix this first. Okay, like that. And let's change this. Okay. This part are the series. This part are the indices. So don't be confused that these are series as well. So series is different from indices. The series, those are the information that you want. Those are the information, those are the important information based on your records. Indices, on the other hand, are just ways how can you access those information. And going back to the concept a while ago and focusing on these items only, we can access apple, banana, grapes, watermelon, kiwi in 3 different ways. So let's perform that on Python. So in this, I will use fruits too because this contains the modified index. And I guess it is completely fine if I will remove this part because this part is just a review of typecasting. I just showed you earlier that the structure of converting list into a series is the same structure how we convert from one data type or data structure to another, like converting a list into a tuple. So here, let us call first fruits 2. Why it takes so much time? Sometimes the reason why it takes so much time is because of the internet connection. So I guess I need to restart this. Reload. Let's just perform it again if in case that it was not recorded. Okay, fruits. I guess this is still here. So fruits 2, this cell we just created the fruits 2, and in another cell suppose in the future, I want now this to be accessed. So you can just call it again and again. Okay. In another cell, let's try to access, let's say Apple. This I want to access this part. Apple. And as you can see, Apple has 3 different indices, 0, -5, and product 1. Let's try to access it in 3 different ways. The way we access it is the the way we access elements from an index. So a quick review again. Quick review. And let's just use this list. To access Apple in this list, what is the code that we are doing? We have my lists followed by square brackets. And in lists, we need to specify the index of this element. Since that is the first element, we will use 0. That is exactly the same syntax that we need to access elements from a series. So first, you need to specify what's the name of the series. And we know that it is fruits 2. And you need to specify, or you need to indicate what's the index of the element that you are accessing. So here, we know that since this is the first element, we can access that using 0. And it should give us an apple. Okay. We can also use product 1 instead of 0. Fruits 2. And let's say product 1. Product 1. Who is product 1? Still apple. Okay, to specify or to perform the other one, let's try to use negative index. Ups -5. Still apple. Right? So this proves our point earlier that this apple has on its nature, okay, it can be accessed in 3 different ways using the positive index, the negative index, as well as the modified index. And the key takeaway here is if you are accessing, I just go back to the Excel. If you are accessing using the index, that is list-like accessing. If you are accessing using modified index, that is dictionary-like way of accessing. Is everything clear up to this point? Jeff, Hasiba, and Grace?
Is the items, quantities, and price, is that in your fruits too?
Not
Not-
yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Later,
Okay.
let's use later. Let's add this parts on our data frame and let's work on this. Let's add this into the series that we have right now later. But before we extend our idea on the data frames, let's explore more about this series. Okay, going back to this, let me delete this because this is just a review. What if you want to access multiple items? So this part, this 3, this is for accessing single items. Okay, this, you can still explore that. You can apply the same thing for the other items such as the banana. Banana, based on this, can be accessed using positive index 1 negative index, -4, and this modified index product 2. You can perform that, and you will see that all of them will give you banana. So extending our idea, this is for negative items, single items rather. Why did I say negative items? What's the meaning of that? So here, let's just call again fruits 2 so that what we can see its contents. But if you want to access multiple items, in accessing multiple items, you can break this down into 2 scenarios. Okay, listen to this carefully because this part that I will provide you is like a tip. Like I just saw its pattern based on not experience on the field, but experience on the way that I teach the other students on how to access multiple items. Accessing multiple items can be broken down into 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, accessing items beside each other. What does it mean? Let's say you want to access apple, banana, and grapes. Or grapes, watermelon, kiwi. Or banana, grapes, watermelon. Okay, so that's scenario 1. Scenario 2, on the other hand, is the reverse. Or trying to access items that are not beside each other. So what if you want to access apple and then grapes and then let's say kiwi, or let's say banana, grapes, and then kiwi? So at least one of them is not beside the group. So let's see first the scenario 1. Scenario 1, you can apply both list like and dictionary like. Dictionary like, list like, and dictionary like way of accessing elements. Okay? And I think the main idea that you need to understand in accessing multiple items is if you are using dictionary like, okay, going back to the Excel, if you are using dictionary like, what do we mean by dictionary like? It means that we are accessing items using modified index. So if that is the case, start and stop. Oops, wait. Stop is included. And in the list like, you know the drill, stop is not included. And let me change this into blue just to be uniform. For dictionary like, stop is included. It means that, let's say you want to access banana, grapes, and apple, banana, and grapes. To access them in dictionary like way, you need to indicate product 1, product 2, product 3. How is that? So let's see here. From the fruits 2, you want to access these elements, product 1 until product 3. As you can see, let's remove this first and let's transfer it into another cell. As you can see, let's understand this further. Product 1, product 2, product 3. Apple, grapes, and banana. All of them are being returned to us, right? And here, as you can see, in the context of slicing, this is the start, this is the stop. But notice that even this is a stop, that is still included in the result. Okay? That's one thing that you need to take note of. If you are using dictionary like of accessing, stop is included. If you are using this like or you are using indices, you need to use you need to know that stop is not included. Okay. Accessing the same items using indices, let's perform that. Um Fruits 2 is the name of the data frame, and we are starting from 0, y0 because that is the apple, and we are ending into actually 3 because you are ending to this because you are interested in the first 3. And here you can see we still have the same result. Start is included, product 1 has index of 0, grapes has index of 2. That's why we are stopping at 3 if you want 2 to be included. Okay? Does that make sense? Is everything clear up to this point? So we are somehow summarizing the things that we have covered earlier. So you may think that this part is this way of explaining it is like side by side you can see what is happening. For me, it is helpful if you would see that. And it is being added to the fundamental in which our instructor has introduced to us. What else? I think that's it for accessing items beside each other. So I think we can proceed on the next one. Accessing items that are not beside each other. Okay, here we can see the data frame that we have. So instead of scrolling all the way back at the top, just print it again. Call again the fruits too. So fruits too, so that you can see again what it looks like. So that you don't need to scroll at the top again and again and then continue working on your code at the bottom. You can just call it right away since Python knows that this equates to this. The information that this name holds is this series. Okay? So how can we access items that are not beside each other? Here, I think, based on what I remember, but let me see first what is the thing in our presentation. Just to be sure that I'm not missing something. Accessing. Lists. This is accessing multiple elements. Going back to this, I think if you are accessing items that are not beside each other, if you are accessing items that are not beside each other, dictionary like is the only option. So based on what I remember, but I will confirm it on the next meetings. But I'm somehow sure that dictionary like is the only option for this. And how can we do that? We can do it this way. Let's say we want to access apple, grapes, and kiwi. So we can do that by using the syntax. First, call the fruits to, and then we have the bracket. So we know that this syntax is for accessing elements, right? But the thing is, since we are accessing items that are not beside each other, you need this. And I think let me type all of it, and I will ask you a question whether what is the thing that you are noticing here.
Can you say it again, John? Why the double brackets? Please?
Okay, let's explain it this way. This inside thing, what do you think it is? What's the data structure of the thing inside? This is a list. Somehow this is a fake list. You can think of it that way. This is a fake list, and we are using this to access items that are not beside each other. Notice that apple, grapes, and kiwi are not beside each other. Unlike this, wherein product 1 to product 3 is beside each other. Apple, right away banana, and then grapes. What if you want to skip some parts wherein you don't want banana to be included um in your result? So you can use this. And the way we perform it, accessing items that are not beside each other, is only by using dictionary-like items. A dictionary-like a way of accessing items. And we can perform that in the way that somehow there is a double bracket, but looking at this carefully, inside the bracket, right? This part, we know that this is for accessing items. And whatever we put inside is Python will just follow. Like, for example, you said 0, it will return you the first item. If you say product 1, it will return you the first item. But what if you give it a list? So somehow, since that is a list, you are telling Python that I want this item specifically. Product 1, product 3, and product 5. That's why it gives you product 1, product 3, and product 5. If you have multiple items that are not beside each other, you need to enclose them into a list.
What happens if there's no double bracket? Can you test that?
Okay, let's test
Take
it.
out the inside one.
It gives us an error.
Dictionary, like, just
So somehow it gives us an error that but I researched it on the previous classes, and based on how I understand it is if you are trying to access items that are not beside each other, you should enclose it as a list so that that item can be read as what they call this, a single entity only. When you enclose it into a list, somehow Python sees it as a single item, a single container. Actually, you can explore this double bracket thing, but the reason that I did not show it earlier is to reduce the confusion because you might mix up the things that I was explaining. But the point is if you are trying to access items not beside each other, dictionary like is the only option. And inside that you are having a list of modified index. Okay, take your time to absorb that because that will be useful when we transition into data frames. Especially if on the next meetings where we have a lot of information, like thousands of rows. So at this point, it's important that you know how to access rows and columns using the index and the modified index. So can we proceed? Okay, I think we can proceed. So where are we? We are on the to have a quick overview of the things we have so far. We just created a series which contains these items, and we just showed that we can access these items in three different ways: positive index, negative index, and modified index. That is for the single item accessing. And if you are accessing using modified index, that is dictionary like. If you are accessing through the index, that is called dislike. And the key is if you are accessing multiple items under the dictionary like, stop is included. But under the list like, stop is not included. So I think I will share a screenshot of this on the canvas. Somehow it is a cheat sheet of all of the things that we have covered so far. What else? I think that's it for the series. All in all, that is about the series. So I hope somehow that review or some additional insights help you to understand more about the series. On the series, the only thing that you need to remember is how can you create a series? The lock and the I lock, that is a good question. The lock and the I lock, it is under the data frames. Okay, that is under the data frames. But for the series, these are the only ways we can access items. Okay, let's proceed. Data frame. Data frame, as as we have said earlier, you can think of a data frame as a table and the series as a column. So basically, a data frame is a combination of two or more series. If you stack beside each other series, you can create a data frame. And we have different ways of creating a data frame, but the easiest way to create a data frame is by creating it through dictionary. Okay? That is the easiest way we can create a data frame. And that is by using a dictionary. So, okay, let's create a data frame that looks like this. Okay? So that we can have a uniform example. It covers everything. So one important aspect of creating a data frame is and you know that you will start from a dictionary is you need to understand that the name of the column will depend on the key. Okay? A quick review. A quick review. Review about dictionaries. Dictionaries has two parts. It has the key and then it page EP Alonus. Oops. Okay. Based on our understanding, a dictionary has two parts, all in all. We have the key and we have the value. And value can be anything. So value can be a list, value can be a tuple. So it can be it can look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then B 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What else? C. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So this is still a dictionary. And as you can see, the value can be anything. It can be a list, it can be a tuple, it can be a number, it can be a string. Or just like that. But what we want is this part. Wherein we have a key and a value in which the value is somehow a data structure, commonly a list. A data structure, commonly a list. If you have this structure and all of your values has the same number of elements, we can convert this into a dictionary. Okay, let us understand that part wherein your values should have the same number of elements in order for this method to work. The length of this is 5. The length of this is also 5. The length of this is also 5. That is one of the conditions that you need to satisfy in order to create a dictionary, create a data frame from a dictionary. And you should understand that its structure is like this. The keys will be the name of the columns. Okay? The keys, those keys A, B, C. If you convert this into a data frame, those will be the name of the columns. Okay? So let's convert this. Let's say data frame, data frame 1, or you can rename it by anything. And since you are converting it into a data frame, you need to use this. The structure is familiar, right? While ago, let's go back here. A while ago, you are converting something into a series. That's why you have this pd.series and then parentheses. Here, you are converting something into a data frame. That's why you have pb.data frame. And then, what is the thing that you want to be converted? I want this to be converted. After that is being converted, I want to see what is the converted version of my dictionary. And it looks like this. A, B, C, or the keys became the headers, or what we call the column names, and the inputs. 1, 2, under A, okay, under A, what are the inputs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Under A, at the data frame, what are the inputs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same case under B. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here, you need to understand that this first element will be at the same level as this first element, as well as this first element. Okay? This second element will be at the same level as this is. Meaning, you can they will be assigned into a same index. Okay. Notice that under A, B, and C,